Operation successful.
Time, take your time. Time, you know I know.
Welcome back to the Slow Success Podcast, where we as women entrepreneurs discuss how to sleep our way to the top. I'm Brianna, your host and the founder of Waysteless, the app that saves you money and reduces food waste by providing recipes based on the groceries you already have at home. My goal for both myself and this podcast is to help women prioritize rest in our entrepreneurial journeys, even if it means success takes a little longer. Before we start, take 3 seconds to subscribe to the channel and remember to click the link in the description to sign up for the waitlist and be the first to know when the app launches. Let's rest, save, and succeed together. So, let me quickly lay out the format for our new subscribers. Each episode, I will have women entrepreneurs from all stages of their journey speak about their journey as an entrepreneur and how they do or don't incorporate rest into their lives. We have what I call our guest in rest and a nap facilitator. But what exactly does NAP stand for? Nourish and pause. And during the last 10 minutes of the podcast, which I call nap time, will be dedicated to us all resting by doing a mindfulness activity we can incorporate into our resting routine. I'll also have resources that you can use on your entrepreneurial journey. I want to do my part to share what opportunities I have either benefited from or know about to aid you in your journey. So let's get started. Our resource for this episode is the SBA, Small Business Administration. They have so many resources, including webinars, grants, and programs you can join. I've used them every time I go to a new city. I immediately look for the local SBA to link into. The link in the description below will allow you to learn more about what they do and what services you can take advantage of. They are a huge resource that I think most people know about, but in case you don't, definitely check them out. First up, I want to introduce you to our guest in rest, Paula Simmons. Paula Simmons is a proud mother of 3 adult children and a grandmother to a beautiful granddaughter. She's also an operations professional in the healthcare IT industry and a budding entrepreneur, having relocated from Fort Myers, Florida to Tulsa, Oklahoma through the Tulsa Remote Program. Paula is excited about the entrepreneurial opportunities Tulsa offers. When she's not juggling trade show deadlines, Paula can often be found in her kitchen baking delicious pound cakes that I've had several slices of, so I can verify they are very delicious, and Southern sweets for her growing bakery business, Chloette Cakes. A woman whose foundation is her faith in God, Paula values relationships and prioritizes rest. Next, let me introduce our NAP facilitator. Lolly Spindler is a 2 times business owner that prioritizes her core values of AEIOC: abundance, ease, intuition, opportunity, and community. After starting Korea content marketing 10 years ago, she decided to teach other writers how to grow their own small freelance writing side gigs into 6-figure online content writing businesses like she had. And that's how the 6-fig content biz was born. Lolly is passionate about teaching others how to escape the 9 to 5 grind and intentionally craft a life they're lit up to live. Thank you for being with us as well today, Lolly.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm so honored.
So I'm super excited about this episode because I feel like this is so like a unique setup where we have 2 amazing women entrepreneurs who are on opposite ends of the spectrum. So Paula is a new budding entrepreneur, and Lolly is not new to this. She's been doing this for a decade. So this is going to be an amazing episode. And I'm just excited to kind of hear all of the greatness that's going to happen. So let's find out how you ladies are sleeping your way to the top. Now, let me introduce today's topic. And our topic for today is overcoming hustle culture. When I read this article, I was just like, it hit on so many different points that I was like, I needed to talk about this on the podcast. Hustle culture, glorified by society as the ultimate path to success, is in fact draining entrepreneurs of their time, money, and meaning. The constant push to work longer and harder at the expense of health, relationships, and personal fulfillment leads to burnout and diminished productivity. This toxic mindset keeps entrepreneurs trapped in a cycle of exhaustion, leaving them to wonder if there's another way. This article talks about how it's time to challenge the narrative, prioritize well being, and embrace a new approach to success that values rest and sustainable growth in entrepreneurship, which is why we have to talk about it on the episode. So, as we kind of shift into gear to start having this conversation, and I'll start with you, Lali, because you've kind of been doing this for a decade. I'm curious. Hustle culture often celebrates overwork and burnout as the norm for achieving success. We all know that, right? How have you navigated the pressure of this mindset while building your business?
So it was actually really crazy when I was reading this article because was kind of like laughing because it's the antithesis of why I started my business. The reason I became my own boss is because I was like, I don't want to do this grind thing. Like me driving, commuting, spending time in the office, like this is not for me. So I was like, okay, how can I intentionally create a business where I get to prioritize myself and my values and rest? So it was really interesting. I was like, this is so like, it kind of made me feel sad for people who started business and got like trapped in this kind of hustle culture mindset. Because for me, it was the opposite. It was like, how can I create something so that I don't have to do that?
Mm.
And so that's one reason now that I've started my second business where I teach people how to start their online content creation businesses. That's like a huge factor is we are creating this business not to create another 9 to 5, right? Like we're creating it so we have our own priorities and we can put our time where we want to. And yes, of course, work is going to be a part of that, but it's not going to be our number one driver, the number one way we're going to be spending our time. We're going to create this business sustainably so that, we can live our lives and it's part of our lives instead of, you know, like living to work, we're going to work to live. So that's kind of like how I've always seen it. So when I see people kind of stuck in that mindset, I'm like, no, come to the other side. Like, please come to the other side. It's like that's the blessing of building your own business. You get to decide how you want to build it. So I think like knowing that one of your priorities is rest and going at your own pace is definitely something we should definitely be discussing more. So thank you for creating this podcast. Because that is, I think, the only way to create a successful foundation that is sustainable and scalable.
I agree with you. I think you get to build the beauty of entrepreneurship is you get to build your own business in your own way, and figure out kind of how to, like you said, it's work is supposed to be a part of your life. It really shouldn't be the thing that's like leading it. It makes me think of this amazing content creator that was actually here through the Toast Remote program as well, Labria Jones. And she's the first person I ever heard say something, call it life work balance instead of work life balance. And she says she called it that because life is supposed to come first, not work.
Mm-hmm.
And that changed the game for me. So, yeah, that absolutely speaks into the fact that we're not supposed to be exhausting ourselves and all of that. Like work, yes, we have to work, we have to pay for things, but like there, it should work in collaboration with our life, and it should kind of be on our terms and like at our speed. So I'm curious for you, Paula, like you as a new entrepreneur, of course, doing this while still kind of being in the 9 to 5, how how do you deal with that pressure, and how have you kind of been navigating it?
Well, for one, can't nobody pressure me. I'm not running this nobody else's race. This is my race. So it's like it's whatever I want to do and how I want to do it and what does success look like to me. Like I listen to other people and I take their feedback, but at the same time, it's like I can only allow it to influence me so much. Because somebody will be like, oh, have you done this yet? Have you done yet? Have you did this? Have you did this? And it's like, slow down. This is my business, I didn't know you was like a partner. So, I just have to, take it one day at a time. And what I get done in one day is what I get done in one day. That's it. It'll be there tomorrow.
Listen, that makes me think of when I was having a conversation with you, Paula. You mentioned that it like you learned from your granddaughter how to say no. She just no was a complete sentence to her, and I feel like as you get older, like we move away from that, and there is that need to build our business on everybody else's term, to do it the way everybody else wants us to do it, that constant grind, grind, go, go, go. And so that exactly makes me think of that, like you being like, yeah, no, my granddaughter was like,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah. She straight up told me one day, like, no, thank you. And I'm like, you sure? She's like, I said no, thank you. And I was like, you're right. You did say no, thank you. Like the light bulb went off. And I'm like, no, why I can't say no, thank you sometimes? Why is it so hard for us as adults to say no, thank you? Like we got to give all these long, drawn out explanations. No, because I got to do this and I got to do that. I'm like, okay, I won't say no, thank you, but usually I'll say it. I'll see if I can commit. I don't know if I can commit to that right now. I'll say something like that. I'll give you more words because if that more words for some reason make people feel happier for whatever reason. No, sometimes hurts feelings. So I'll just, I'll fluff it up. But it's really no if you really want. If you know me, you know it's really no.
Well, especially as women, we're definitely socialized to be like more people pleasing and always
Yeah,
have to give a reason. And it's like,
Girl.
yeah. Like
it's just a no.
really just no. We don't want to hurt feelings for whatever reason. And also, why does it hurt someone's feelings to be told no? Like, why do they feel entitled
You know what?
to get
That's
a
such a good
yes?
thing. Wow, you're making me think because I never thought about that until now. Like, why does it hurt somebody's feelings to be told no? I guess, of course, you're not getting what you want, but like that's just part of life. So that
Well,
is interesting.
and I think we're so used to making everything about us that if you tell someone no, they're going to make it about them when it's not about them,
Yeah,
So it's like, oh, I must have done something wrong. That's why you're telling me no. It's like, no, it's just a no from me. I just don't want to do it. Or, whatever it may be.
Ah,
yes, that's an excellent point.
that
Yeah.
does. It's like when like I think of especially being an introvert when people are like they'll invite me somewhere and I may not want to go. Right now I'm really good at just saying no thank you. But when I was younger, I would come up with all of the excuses of like, oh, I can't make it. I have this going on or I have that going on. Like anything other than just saying no, I don't want to go. And because when I would then say no, then it would be like, well, what did I do wrong? And I'd be like, it
Hmm.
don't have nothing to do with you. I just my social meter is at a max. I can't do anymore. So that that's so true. That really sticks out to me. And so my question to and I'll start with you, Paula. It in the article, it talks about the importance of stepping away from work to recharge. And I'm automatically, even right now, as I say it, thinking of something that Lali said. So I'm gonna about like slow mornings. So, but I'll start with you, Paula. How do you ensure that you take time off to rest and recharge? Like, how do you put that kind of what's the word like those kind of boundaries around like okay this is work and now this is off time and like you don't kind of cross the two.
It's kind it's kind of hard sometimes for people, especially once you work remotely, because home is work.
Yes.
So I don't work out like this is actually my office. So yeah, once work is done, I'm out of here. Like I'm not coming back in here. I don't care what I need. I'll get it tomorrow. No, I'm not going back in there. But thankfully, I do only work 4 days a week. So I work Monday through Thursday and I work 8 hours a day. I don't put in any extra. I don't what gets done, it gets done on that day. And, we'll see it the next day or next week if it's on a Thursday.
Listen, the freedom in your voice as you say that, like, I'm not going to be stressed out. I'm not going to be frustrated. You're not going to overwork me. You're going to get these 8 hours per day for these 4 days. And what don't get done, don't get done. That is just, that's goals. I need you to know that is goals. Were you always like that? Like how did you get to that point?
I'll be honest, I think it probably came more so once I moved to Tulsa,
Okay.
because when I was still in Florida, I was still close to work. So I would still come, even though it was taking me longer to get to work, I would still show up to the office like a few days a week, even though I had already told them, no, I'm only gonna work, I'm only gonna come into the office like 3 days a week because gas is getting crazy here and the commute is getting bad from all the traffic. But then I'll end up showing up anyways sometimes because I felt like I was getting more done when I was in the office, which really wasn't true. But I kind of felt like I'm not looking like a team player. I'm not looking like somebody who's serious about their work. I'm not being a leader.
Yeah.
But once I got over here and I'm like, guess what? I'm over here. Nobody knows whether I'm in the office ever. They don't know. I'm out of sight, out of mind. So why am I even putting forth all that extra energy? And then
Yeah.
plus, I'm like, I got a new city to learn. So yeah, it's about me right now.
I
I
love that.
got stuff to do.
It's about me. I
It
love that.
is.
I
Yeah.
feel like you do that really good, Lolly. I think when we were having a conversation, you do something that I incorporate, which is slow mornings. You were just like, my work day don't even start until 12 o'clock. And it goes
Mhm.
from 12 to about 6 or 7. And then that's that. You were like, I get up, I work out, I have breakfast, I do all of the things, and then work starts at 12. And I was just like, that's game changing.
That's
Like,
goals. Because I'm not a morning person.
Yeah, I'm not either, but I try to like well, not force myself, but I try to get up. Like, I used to get up at 9, and I was like, okay, well, you can get up an hour earlier, 8. And so one day I might, keep like creeping that back a little bit. But yeah, no, honestly, it's great because then I get to like get my workout done. I meditate. I get to eat like a good meal when I get back from my workout, and then I'm like, okay, like I've done all the things I need to do from like my mental, physical, spiritual health. And so now I'm like ready to go into work mode. And then yeah, depending on the day, it's like 4 to 6 hours. Now that I'm starting like my second business, I'm working more. But with just if I'm just working on Crea on my content marketing business, that's only like around 4 hours a day, probably, and sometimes less, depending on how many projects I have. But I really think those mornings really help because then it's like, oh, I have to like do all these things after. It's like, no, I already did those things. Now I can focus. And then like whatever I get to do when I'm done is like a bonus. Like whether it's go out to dinner or watch my favorite show, I'm like, okay, great. It's like the cherry on top. And then one more thing I'll say about, especially with working remotely, as an entrepreneur, it's like harder to separate the personal and professional
yes,
lives. So what
yes,
I recommend to my students, I have one browser for work and then one browser for my personal online browsing. So it's like one way I separate it with
yes,
technology. And the other
genius.
way is with my phone. I don't give my number to clients. So they have to contact me via email. And so that helps to like if I get a notification, like I know it's not work. I know it's like my personal life because I also don't get pinged for emails. So I have to like consciously go onto my phone, go into emails, and then look instead of it just like touching me whenever it wants to, right? So it's another, those like two little tech things that I recommend doing because it helps kind of create that barrier between personal and professional, especially if you're remote and, a solopreneur.
That's genius. I never thought of that. I really am going to implement that going into this week. You may have just changed the game for me with that.
Yay.
I love that. So let me ask you, like, okay, yes, you have slow mornings. And I know, Paula, you said that sense of freedom for you came when you moved here to Tulsa. I'm curious for you, Lolly, like how did um you start to incorporate slow mornings? Was that like what was the catalyst for that, for you to kind of get to that point where you were like, listen, I'm gonna have my mornings and do my meditation, my workout, breakfast, and then work can start later?
I think it's just because like I didn't like getting up and immediately being on. That's really hard to make that kind of change. And then like my work day would just be like longer and I would like take more breaks and I was like wasn't as like focused on what I actually had to get done. So I was like, you know what, let's try to just focus on me in the morning and get the things I want to get done for myself. And then when I do say like, okay, now it's time to work, like my brain can much more easily switch into that mode instead of going like back and forth. And then I can really like get done, you know, whatever one, two, three things I need to get done for that day. And then I'm like, okay, great. That's all for today. We're done. So it kind of helped me just like separate that. So I wasn't, you know, constantly switching my mindset. It was just like, okay, we're going to focus on me. And now we're going to focus on my clients, my work, which is also me, you know, it's an extension of me. So it's like something I also enjoy doing. But yeah, that definitely like helped me focus more when I was going to sit down to work.
That makes sense. That makes perfect sense. I'm curious, especially so you're experienced at this. You've been doing this for a decade. You're in the process of starting your second business. Paula, you're new to like now incorporating entrepreneurship into your life. How do you how do you kind of put those boundaries into place so that even with you have your job, then you have entrepreneurship, like, and then you have your life outside of that? Like, how do you even for this new like area of entrepreneurship just for yourself? I feel like for you, yes, you kind of identified how to step away from the actual job, but how do you not blend entrepreneurship, which is baking and you love that, and then also still have your life outside of that?
I'm still working on how to get baking in as a business and
Yeah.
not just baking because I feel like baking, you
Mhm.
know. Because like right now I got everything all out because I felt like baking today. So I'm gonna bake a cake when we get done with this. But that's still something I'm working on. I keep saying telling myself, oh, Fridays is your business day. You work on your business on Fridays. I haven't been consistent with that. I haven't. Something shiny might be, I get shiny object syndrome. Some kind of event or something is going on, and I'd be like, oh, I gotta go to that. I gotta be there. So, so then what ends up happening is I'm like, okay, so you got to do something with your business. So I guess you're gonna have to do that tonight then when you get back home since you didn't want to do it during the day. So yeah, I'm struggling a little bit with that.
Yeah, that makes sense though, because I feel like when it's just I feel like you there are two different challenges, right? It's when you're a full-time entrepreneur and it's just like you and your business and there's no one to report to. You definitely have to make sure there are those structures and things in place so you can get things accomplished. But then you also have the other side of that where you may be a what I like to call an employed entrepreneur, where you have a job and you're doing entrepreneurship as well. And so you don't work your 40 hours or however many hours you worked for the week. And you really do just want to like check out and be done. And so then to have to switch your brain over to that other way of thinking of like, no, I still have things to do, but still somehow balance that, but not overdo it. It really is that I don't have an answer for it. I really it really is that sweet spot that I haven't figured it out yet either. I think it is a day by day, kind of week by week situation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
some weeks you get more done. And you're like,
Hmm.
oh, I did a lot. And you're like, okay, so maybe I should do it this way. And then the next week it doesn't happen. Something else comes up. But I learned to give myself grace
Yes.
more than anything. Cause I'm like, if this was somebody else, would you be hard on them? Would you talk mean to them? Would you tell them, girl, you get yourself together? No, you'll be like, no, girl, it's okay. Tomorrow's another day. We can do it next week. So be nice to yourself.
Yeah.
I'd be like, yeah, girl, just rest. It's okay.
That's interesting because I just had that conversation with a friend where I was like, I am so compassionate and understanding to other people. I see their small progress, I see their small wins, and I'm like, you got this, girl. You're doing it. Keep going. Remember to incorporate self-care and pause when you need to. And then I have weeks where that thought doesn't even cross my mind, and I don't speak to myself as gently and as kindly as I speak to other people. So that makes me see this. That's almost like a perfect kind of intro into this this question I wanted to ask, because kind of again in reading this article, it talked about how entrepreneurs feel that their self-worth is tied to their business achievements. And so it kind of leads to this fragile sense of identity of like, if your business is not where you want it to be, or uh, kind of accomplishing the things you wanted to accomplish in your business, you start to kind of feel those, you start to speak unkindly to yourself, and you, those thoughts of being a failure and things, or maybe, hey, this wasn't the right business, or hey, this wasn't a good idea, maybe I should kind of, you know, throw this all away. You start to have those doubts. So I'm curious, how do either of you kind of maintain a healthy balance between your personal sense of self and your professional success, and don't kind of tie them into one another? I'll go with you,
So,
Laura.
yeah, so I would say one of the first things I would do isn't to tie like your goal to a metric.
Mhm.
We learn so much and hear so much about like SMART goals, and one of those things
Yes.
is a metric. And I think that can be problematic because then you're like constantly like chasing your tail basically, because obviously that number can always get higher and higher. And so while it's good to have some like, degrees that you want to reach, I think it's more fulfilling if you tie your goal to a feeling. So I want to feel more at ease. I want to feel um, more proud of myself that I'm choosing this life. And so then, even if you don't get everything done that you wanted to get done to like hit that metric, you at least can check in like, am I achieving that feeling, which is way more important, right? Like nobody knows about the metric that you said, or like that's not going to affect anyone, but the way you feel, and the way, if I'm actually taking those steps to achieve that feeling, that's not only going to affect me, that's going to affect those around me, right? My family, my friends, my community, because they see that I am achieving the goal I set for myself, which is to feel, more accomplished in me, um, more easeful, more abundant, right? Taking on more opportunities when they come to me. So I think that's like a interesting shift to do, because then instead of like constantly chasing something that can always get higher and higher, we're like, no, 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 I'm building this feeling, this sense of self-worth, and that's really the goal.
Wow. Okay. I look, Paula, like, yes,
Yeah, I like that.
I do too, because I think try like being, I constantly call myself a recovering perfectionist. And so you're right. I have those goals in my mind that I have to check off the box. And I'm always thinking once I accomplish those goals, then those feelings that I want will come into play. And it usually doesn't, because then I'm on next to the next goal.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
so you're right. People usually go into entrepreneurship for one of those feelings, those feelings of, um, you know, being able to kind of be at peace, those feelings of like being able to have freedom in your schedule and your day and your routine. And so somehow we get off track of that, and we kind of have that metric in mind, and we leave those feelings out of it, because I feel like business is business, and we don't tie business and feelings into each other, because that just seems so wrong. So that makes sense to really kind of pull it back in and say, like, it doesn't have to be those metrics of like what the revenue is, what the profits are, how many clients you have, but like those feelings of like, am I at peace, am I enjoying this, like whatever those kind of,
Yeah. Like, am I offering value to my community, to my
yeah,
clients? Because
I
that's
love,
really what it's about, right? Like you're here to offer value.
yeah, that.
So
Yeah,
yeah.
definitely. I definitely agree, especially when you said feelings, I was like, yeah, that's me. Because I think about, the older you get, or at least the older I'm getting, I think more about what am I leaving behind? What's my legacy gonna look like? What are people gonna say? What is my, specifically my children and my grandchildren and those that I'm in close relationship with, what are they gonna say at my funeral? I don't want them to say, my mama was a hardworking woman. That is not the
Yeah,
story that I want them to tell. I don't. I don't. She was working hard. She wasn't never there. Every time
yeah,
I
that's
call,
true.
no, that's not it. That's not it. No, I want them to be able to have stories about things that we did together, how I made them feel, what impact I left. Be like, oh yeah, and I'm gonna miss her cake, and I'm gonna miss this, that kind of stuff. That's important to me. So yeah, I feel like the job is gonna be there whether I'm there or not. Somebody's gonna get it done, and it doesn't have to be me.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's how I'm able to unplug and just, yeah, no.
That makes me think of this saying by the late great Dr. Maya Angelou that says, people will forget what you said and what you did, but they'll never forget how you made them feel. And so if we kind of wrap success more into that, as opposed to like, you know, the revenue and profits, which yeah, those are always going to be on our mind, but like that doesn't have to be the end all be all. That doesn't have to be the only metric that we're striving for. So that makes perfect sense. And that leads me to ask you both. I'll start with you, Paula. I'll ask you the infamous question that I ask that I ask everyone is, as especially as a budding entrepreneur and you're new to this and building out uh Chloette cakes and like navigating this new entrepreneurship journey, how are you sleeping your way to the top?
I sleep very well. I probably take more naps now than I ever did in my life because now it's just me. I don't have, I don't have any kids in the house or anything like that. So as a single person, I'm able to prioritize rest when I say this all the time. Once my kids moved out, my family used to come all the time, ask for dinner. What'd you cook today? What'd you cook? What'd you cook? I'd be like, oh, I ate such and such. And I'll be like, yeah, my family's fed. I ate, now my family's fed. So there's no leftover.
I love that.
When I eat, my family's fed. So yeah, I can sleep knowing that there's nobody gonna be waiting for me. Mommy, cook dinner. Could you cook for dinner? What'd you do this? I need this. I sleep so well, and I take probably way more naps than I should, but that's okay. It's okay.
Listen, I love a good nap.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's
nobody's
never enough naps.
everything.
Never. Listen, I think you should get all 8 hours of sleep and a nap in every day.
They so good. And I used to be one of those people that like didn't like to nap because I would be afraid that, because when you wake up and it's light outside again or it's dark, you're like, what time is it? What time? What did I miss? And it's like, yeah, it was just a couple of hours. I used to be anxious about that because like you, perfectionist, gotta no controlling, gotta be in control more than it's not perfection. It's be in control. But
Yeah.
that's okay. But now I'll take a nap and I'll say, Alexa, wake me up in an hour. Sometimes Alexa's the alarm go off. I'll be like, that's enough. I'm sleeping some more. I don't care.
Leave me alone, Alexa.
Yeah, I don't care.
That's absolutely me. I can take a good couple of hour nap and it just does me right. It really does do me right. Miss Lolly, how are you sleeping your way to the top? You've been doing this for a decade. So how are you sleeping your way to the top in your entrepreneurship journey?
So I definitely think it's important to prioritize 8 hours of sleep. Even if I get like 7 hours and 45 minutes, I'm like, no, I need eight. I'm kind of a stickler with that with myself. Um, I definitely think that's important. Also, yes, like napping, if I feel like my body's like, okay, let's just take a little cat nap. Like there's no resistance. It's like whatever my body tells me. Like our body has wisdom that our mind does not have access to. So I'm like, yes, I'm gonna listen to that because that's what it's telling me to do. I also think making time, which like to be active every day is really important for me personally, because obviously like getting that sleep, like you have more energy. And if I don't expel that energy in some way, like I actually can't sleep. So for
Yeah.
me, it's like a balance, right? Like I want to get good sleep, but I also try to do something active every day, um, to like keep it that really good cycle. And then the other way, which I mean, it's kind of sleeping, meditating is really helpful because actually your brain can actually regenerate once you get into a meditative state better than it can when you're sleeping. Um, so those are like my three things like I would say I prioritize doing every day to stay in like a good rhythm and balance.
Wow. Okay. Clearly, I need to get better at meditating because that's definitely not what happens over here. So I need to practice my meditation. I need to get like you. All right. Well, this leads us into perfect transition as we're talking about meditating, is it leads us into our nap time. And so
Mm.
our nap facilitator, Lali, is going to guide us through a mindfulness activity that everyone can kind of incorporate in your kind of weekly, daily routine to start resting more. So I'm going to turn off my camera and turn it all over to you, Lali.
Okay, great. Yeah, so actually, if you do have trouble meditating or if you've never tried, we're going to do some breath work exercises, and this is perfect to do before you meditate. So the breath work we're going to be doing is called samasvriti, which what we call in English is box breathing because we inhale, hold, exhale, hold for the same counts, basically. And in Sanskrit, samas is equal, and vriti means like the fluctuations of the mind. So it's trying to equalize those fluctuations so you can get to a point where your mind is centered and focused.
Mhm.
So this is why it's great to do if you are trying to jump into a meditation or you're trying to, like, saying you're having a really stressful day, you're really overwhelmed. Just taking a few minutes to focus on this breath work technique can kind of like take you from this and bring you like this again. Because normally when we're stressed or overwhelmed, we're thinking about the future or the past, right? So focusing on our breath work in general brings us back to the present. So this is why I personally love this technique. I use it with every one of my yoga classes at the beginning, at the end, because then people notice the difference when your mind is still fluctuating and kind of running around doing it. And then at the end of the class, when they're kind of more centered and focused, and then they can see the difference of the quality of breath work. So I would just recommend doing this A, when you're stressed and overwhelmed, but also in times when you do feel more calm and at ease and just kind of see the difference that it makes. So first, if everyone feels comfortable, you can just close down your eyes. And so first we're going to start with just one count and then we'll increase to 2 and 3 and 4. But so first I just want you to become aware of your breath. So just start taking some really deep inhalations and exhalations so that you just kind of, are more aware of the quality of your breath, where you're breathing from. Are you breathing more from your chest? Are you breathing more from your belly? Do you feel that you're actually breathing to your full capacity? Maybe it's shallow. Just kind of notice where your breath is at right now. And then we're just going to start making those breaths a little bit longer. So now that we're aware of the breath, let's just start lengthening those breaths a little bit more. And now, as you continue to elongate those breaths, try to fill up to your full capacity on the inhale and try to exhale out all the air out on your exhale, just so you can start to feel what that full capacity of breath feels like. Because normally we're breathing really shallow, it's all in our chest, we're not really breathing from our bellies first, going up to our chest, and then exhaling chest, belly. So just kind of get used to that feeling of the full inhale and the full exhale and just kind of what that feels like. And now we'll start the box breathing or samasvriti. So we're going to inhale all the way to the top. Once you get there, you're going to hold for 1 and then exhale. When you get to the bottom of your breath, you're going to hold for 1 without air And then it's going to take you back to your inhale, 1. Hold at the top. Exhale. And hold empty. We'll do that one more time. Inhale, 1. Hold 1. Exhale, 1. Hold 1. Now we're going to do 2. So inhale, 1, 2. Hold 1, 2. Exhale, 1, 2. Hold 1, 2. Inhale, 1, 2. Hold 1, 2. Exhale, 1, 2. Hold 1, 2. Inhale, 1, 2. Hold 1, 2. Exhale, 1, 2. Hold 1, 2. We'll go to 3. Inhale, 1, 2, 3. Hold 1, 2, 3. Exhale, 1, 2, 3. Hold 1, 2, 3. Inhale, 1, 2, 3. Hold 1, 2, 3. Exhale, 1, 2, 3. Hold 1, 2, 3. Inhale, 1, 2, 3. Hold 1, 2, 3. Exhale, 1, 2, 3. Hold 1, 2, 3. We'll go to 4. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. Exhale and hold. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, and hold. And exhale and hold. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. Exhale. Hold. Inhale, 1. Hold. Exhale and hold. And now you'll do this at your own rhythm. You can do it for longer, for shorter, whatever feels good, and just do a few rounds on your own. And you can just count in your head. Do one more round on your own. And when you're ready, you can return to your normal breath. Taking a deep inhale, deep exhale, and just kind of feeling where you're at. If that helped calm your mind, calm your nervous system. And then once you're ready, you can slowly open back up the eyes. How do y'all feel?
Nap time.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like a great transition breath work, right? If you're like, you know, ready to go to bed, this helps calm you down, ready to meditate, you just need to have some type of transition in your day. This breath work, like the box breathing, is really helpful for that.
That was really good. I've never done it in like those that transitional way of like 1, then 2, 3, 4. I really like that.
Oh yeah. And you can keep going, obviously. It just depends on your lung capacity, and because holding at the bottom is the hardest.
Mhm.
So yeah, you can like work your way up to 5 to 6. But yeah, I like to start with one just so you're like, okay, this is what this feels like. Now I can do it a little bit longer. Yeah. Hey.
That was good. Oh, I feel like I'm ready for an actual nap. You're right.
No, now I don't feel like baking nothing. I want to go to sleep.
Right. Wow. So nap time did what it was supposed to do. Really relaxed you. So thank you to both of you ladies. It was incredible having both of you on. I knew it would be really great because, like I said, both of you are at opposite ends of the spectrum of entrepreneurship. So it's interesting to have like heard what Lolly has learned and has kind of figured out in her decade of doing this, and then also like learn with and hear how some of the things that Paula is kind of finding at that middle ground for, but then also the things she's kind of already incorporated and established, maybe not in entrepreneurship, but definitely like in her work life. So it's just so I learned a lot. I feel like each episode I learn a little bit more and I take away things that I can incorporate in my life. So thank both of you ladies so much.
Thank you for having
Yay.
me. I do have a question. What was
Yes.
the acronym, the ACIOE? Those were some good words. I need that.
Girl. Yes. Okay. So
It's
listen, it's Lolly.
A
So I'll let Lolly tell you.
so it's AEIOC. So I did it because it's like AEIOU, but I just changed the last one to C.
Mhm.
So it's abundance, ease,
Yes.
intuition, opportunity, and community. So those are like kind of my like guiding values. So when I make decisions, I'm like, do these correspond to my values? Do these support my core values? Because then it's a lot easier to make the decision. Um, like, should I take this course? Yes, it corresponds with opportunity. Or should I go to this random meetup? Yes, it corresponds with my value of community. So, I mean, obviously, those don't have to be your core values, but definitely I would take some time and actually, in this great book, she actually has you go through. Actually, I stole some from Rachel Cargill. This is
Yes.
Renaissance of Our Own. I highly
I
recommend.
will also put the
Um,
link to that book in the
yeah.
description box.
So I actually stole Abundance, Ease, and Opportunity from Rachel. Because I was like, oh, I like those. I'm gonna adopt those too. Because I was like, I'm already living my life with those. So I might as well like add it to my list of my core values. So yeah, highly recommend that book. I'm obsessed.
Believe in having those core values. How did you get to the point of like establishing those? Like how did you figure out what your core values were?
So I've done some exercises. One was really cool where instead of making New Year's resolutions, you pick a word of the year. And so when I was thinking about that, like community has always been a driver for me, whether I'm creating community, like because I travel a lot. So if I'm in living in a new spot or traveling to a new, how can I incorporate community? Oh, I think my AirPods just died. Hopefully you guys can still hear me.
Yes, we can hear you.
Me right at the end. Um, And also like with my business, I've always like I actually have a community aspect so that when you're starting this new business, you can talk to other writers. And so I was like, oh, there's definitely a community component of my business. So after doing that exercise just that 1 year, like years ago, I was like, actually, I think this is like my guiding light that I've always had is like creating community and supporting community. So that's like definitely once I did that, I was like, okay, now I need to start defining what my other values are. Now that I know like my guiding one, I'm gonna like fill out the other ones that I'm already living, but I just have never put a word to.
I like that. I like that. Girl, you gave me so many tips and suggestions, notes that I need to be implementing.
Hey.
So this was really good. I'll definitely make sure that in the description box, I will have all of the contact information on how to get um, in touch with both Lolly and learn about both her businesses, Cree Content Marketing, as well as the Six writing business that she's in the process of starting and gearing up to take on new clients. And I'll also put in the description box information about how to get in touch with Paula. Beyond Tulsa, unfortunately for y'all that are not located here in Tulsa, you're not able to get her desserts yet. And I feel for you because, baby, they are good. But
And I'm so jealous.
man, because I tell you, I had 3 slices of pound cake in one day, but that's nobody's business but mine. Anywho, balance, balance. I ran that day as well. Balance.
Race.
So
Even if you didn't.
even if you didn't, that's my business. How Tabitha Brown says, it's my business. So if you enjoyed this episode, come back and find out how our next guests are sleeping their way to the top, or how they are not sleeping their way to the top and may need some guidance. Join the community. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. If you feel this podcast would be helpful to others, please share it with them. Until next time, rest well and thrive. Bye.